Yo, what is up? Gonna be doing a post-trade analysis on a trade I recently took on ETH. So, just on the higher time frame. Start from here, we deviated that all-time high, and then from there we started getting this structure and move down. Price was trending down. Like this. With this actually being that high. So yeah, price was trending down, making 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 consistent structured moves to the downside. So, it's definitely normal to get a reversal at some point after making 5 consistent moves to the downside. We came into a key demand POI, which is actually this entire region, but just had it brought up to like some kind of breaker block. I think the 3-day. Yeah, I had it brought to this 3-day just to make the zone a bit smaller. Zooming in on the lower time frame, you can see we were expanding it down very aggressively. We had that compression range right here where price was compressing, popped out, got the distribution, first move, fake move, and then got the bearish expansion. So we were expanding, we came into the key POI, and if you go in the hourly time frame, you can see price started showing some exhaustion, then tapping into the key POI after sweeping the low once, twice, 3 times. So this was the range. This was the range deviation there. With this being your PS, you kind of had a little accumulation model right there as your range starting point. And then you can see price on the deviation tapped into that third tap POI. With this being your return to zone. Pretty flawless return to zone overall. Not really any clear supply zones in the entire thing. And then we got a nice bottoming formation on the hourly right here, in line with this 5-minute confirmation. Or I think it was a 3-minute. Let's see. There's 3-minute market structure confirmation right there. With this being the trade, 3.87 right there. Not the best looking low where you're getting these closes down here. But yeah, overall, clean model, not a whole lot of room for error within the individual model, other than, the fact with the context, we are in a good region to put in the higher low for the lower low for the lower high. But we were also in a very bearish expansion on the higher time frame, which, you can have those bearish expansions. You can have those bearish expansions where price is trending down aggressively, and then you're deviating the low, wicking the low over and over, and every deviation can look like a confirmation for some kind of a model when you zoom in, but it just ends up continuing to grind down before it just continues with that bearish expansion, prior to actually, getting a nice bottoming formation before forming a higher time frame range. So this is what we were looking at for that nice bottoming formation. Just didn't end up getting the follow through here that we needed to see. So you can see price retraced right here. We got a distribution after confirming. Price retraced here. Trailed the stop loss there to that new third tap low that came down for this extreme demand. So trail the stop loss, pretty minor trail right there. And then, yeah, price continued to range and just never got the follow through that it needed to have. In the meantime, we had Bitcoin here, where Bitcoin was pushing down into also another key POI, which I had deleted from the chart. So Bitcoin was moving down very aggressively, Bitcoin, after having this macro distribution up here at the highs, coming down very aggressively into the key demand POI, which, you know, the inefficiency started right here. And Bitcoin is looking a bit heavier than ETH because we were getting higher time frame closes down here. As you can see, you know, you want to see nice wicks. You want to see good buying pressure to indicate that, you know, there's going to be a bottoming formation and a reversal taking place. So, you know, you see the nice wick of the low, wick of the low, wick of the low. And then, you know, on this pullback, what you want to see is a fast wick where you're closing these higher time frame candles below here. As you can see, you know, 6 hour, just kind of clicking through the candles, you guys can see how, you know, simultaneously with ETH getting that confirmation, Bitcoin is looking locally a bit heavier. Doesn't look like it wants to form a pivot from this exact location, you know, just due to the higher time frame closes within the demand zone. That should be, you know, your key demand that you should just wick into before getting a reversal if you're intended to reverse from that level. So, you know, that was definitely some room for error within these setups, is that price was moving down very aggressively and Bitcoin was not showing a whole lot of signs of strength, getting deep closes within the demand zone that, you know, should have offered a fast reaction. And from there, ETH, you know, kind of fumbled around before going lower, which you can see it got stopped out right there. And if we look at the aftermath, price just traded lower. So this was a -1 loss. I thought it was worth a try there, you know, just due to the overall price behavior on the pair and on Bitcoin coming into, you know, a key POI. But, you know, overall, you know, just from my back testing in general, what I have noticed is even after topping out here, you know, this is last cycle, even after topping out here, pull this over, make it clean. Even after topping out here, there was so many opportunities where price, you know, formed some sort of, you know, accumulative looking behavior. There was lots of liquidity above and it was like grinding down and then just popped and just continued going lower. There was so many accumulations and, you know, cumulative looking price behaviors that ended up failing within this entire region during these aggressive expansion legs. So you really needed to wait for price to see some sort of a bounce away from the low instead of trying to catch an accumulation that's at these lows that looks like, you know, something like this, you know, where like maybe you're trying to catch some accumulations within here on that move down and your price is located at that low. You know, it could be at the low, like maybe the candle was live right here and you're at the low. And there's so many times where price was just grinding down before popping lower, and then, you know, you only really saw the profitable good trades on the retracement legs. Even after sweeping this low, you still, you know, had some bearish expansions that took place, and, you know, you took the low, you swept it, you got a bounce. It wasn't any accumulation at this low. It ended up being, you know, some sort of like a naked low, not really naked low because you did sweep a key liquidity point, but, you know, just a low, that's all. No bottoming formation or anything there, and you came up and just redistributed and you went lower. So yeah, there was a lot of opportunities. Like you can just see these candles right here. There might have been, you know, some sort of like a low time frame accumulation that formed right here, and you're like, oh, you know, we're sweeping some key liquidity. We're coming into the you know, there's all this liquidity above right here. We're coming to the tactical target of this distribution. It could be worth a try on the long side at the low of this aggressive move down, and it just ends up going lower. So that's something I've definitely noticed from my back testing of last cycle. So really wanted to be careful, and I think this was an opportunity where, you know, it was worth a try to try this trade, but, you know, anything lesser probability than this would not have been worth a try just due to those factors. But yeah, really that's my overall analysis of this trade. Valid loss in my opinion. Probabilities were not in my favor, but, you know, just didn't work out to be a win. And yeah, that's it. You know, just gonna return to the markets, staying present, staying focused on the process, you know, not letting these kinds of losses affect the mental and let any emotions accumulate because of it. You know, you take losses all the time, and you just gotta roll with it and just keep pushing and just, you know, watch for new opportunities and execute those new opportunities from that present state of mind, you know, where you're just fully focused on the process, right? So that's what we're gonna be doing going forward. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.